a song that has my last name in the title. It's called Nancy Spain. Of all the stars that ever shone, not one did twinkle like your pale blue eyes. Like golden corn at harvest time, your hair. Sailing in my boat, the wind gently blows and fills my sail. Your sweet scented breath is everywhere. Daylight peeping through the curtain of the passing night time is your smile. Oh, the sun in the sky is like your laugh. Come back to me, my Nancy, and linger for just a little while. Well, since you left these shores, I've known no peace nor joy. No matter where I wander, I'm still haunted by your name. The portrait of your beauty stays the same. Standing by the ocean, wondering where you've gone, if you'll return again. Where is the ring I gave to Nancy Spain? Now on that day in spring, when snow starts to melt and streams start to flow, with the birds I will sing you a song. And in a while by Bluebell Grove, down by Bluebell Grove where wildflowers grow, and hope the lovely Nancy will return. No matter where I wander, I'm still haunted by your name. The portrait of your beauty stays the same. Standing by the ocean, wondering where you've gone, if you'll return again. Where is the ring I gave to Nancy Spain? You're standing by the ocean, wondering where you've gone, if you'll return again. Where is the ring I gave to Nancy Spain? Where is the ring I gave to Nancy Spain?
Thanks so much, Mickey.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Welcome to the NEPA Scene Podcast. We're coming to you live from Cole Creative in downtown Wilkes-Barre. I'm Rich Howells. I'm the founder and editor of NEPA Scene. As you can see, my cohorts are not here tonight, but that's okay because we have plenty to talk about here with Mickey Spain. More beer for us. That's the important thing. And his lovely wife, Erin Spain, as well.
Glad to be here.
So, if you didn't catch that already, Mickey Spain is an Irish folk singer-songwriter who is currently living in the Scranton area. Yeah. And he was a favorite at our NEPA Scene Rising Talent open mic at the V-Spot, which comes back next month. So tonight we're going to talk about him touring the world with Makem Spain, his take on the local parade day madness, because that's always, I think, an interesting topic. Yeah. So who better to talk that with than with an Irishman? He has upcoming shows at the Tomato Bar Bistro, Kilcoyne's Bar, and the first ever Steamtown String Fling at the Scranton Cultural Center, which has an awesome lineup. We're definitely going to talk about that tonight as well. So please join our conversation. As I mentioned last week, Facebook is really limiting how many people can see the live stream. So if you're one of those lucky people who are tuned in right now who can actually hear us and is catching this, please leave some comments, leave some questions. We would love to hear from you. We'll definitely get to those at some point in the show. And if you're watching this live, please press that share button and let people know about this podcast, and hopefully other people can join in as well. We're also going to be streaming on Periscope in the future too. So if you're a Twitter fan and you would prefer Periscope, then by all means we'll definitely be able to accommodate you as well. We would on Instagram, but they don't allow full live streams like this, more just like a handy cam on your phone kind of thing. So we're not going to be able to do it on there, but we'll try to be as many places you are. In fact, I just started a Vero account. So if Vero's your thing, we're going to start posting on Vero now because I don't have enough to do. But we need another social media thing to post to. But hey, you know what? We're going to try it. Anything to fight Facebook at this point.
Never even heard of half of those.
Yeah, well, trust me, I wouldn't be using them if I didn't have the site. That's for sure. But the V-Spot is our newest sponsor. They're one of the most popular bars in northeastern Pennsylvania. They have live entertainment every night of the week. This week, they have Rare Form playing tonight. Jordan Ramirez of Half Dollar and Fake Fight, who we've had on our podcast on Thursday. The Molly Pitcher Path is Friday. Better Than Bad is Saturday. And DJ Huff is hosting karaoke on Sunday. And, of course, our Rising Talent Open Mic and Talent Contest will also be back there at the end of March, starting March 27th. It's a Tuesday, and then running every Tuesday for 12 weeks through June 12th. So if you're a local performer, we would love to come out, you to come out and play in our show. It's a lot of fun. You're going to meet a lot of really cool people. This guy can attest.
Yeah, that was a great time, yeah.
We'll definitely talk about that a little more at some point in the show as well. But before we get to the interview, we have some beers to drink from Beer Boys in Wilkes-Barre. They're our longest-running sponsor. They have 72 beers on tap, including at least 20 from Pennsylvania breweries. These guys are committed to craft. And each week they give us these massive crowlers to drink. So they always pick some really good stuff for us. This week it's all from Founders Brewing, which if you hadn't had anything from there, you really need to try it. But I'm probably not, if you're a craft beer guy, I'm not telling you anything you don't already know. So this week we have Founders Harvest. We have their Mosaic, which I believe we've had on the show before, and Rubaeus. So which one do you want to start with tonight?
Should I start with the Harvest?
All right.
It's close by.
Yeah. Erin, would you like some as well? There you go.
There you are.
Usually I have a little more help with this kind of stuff. Brittany was sick last week, and then she's kind of catching up on work. And, John has another work thing going on this week. But hopefully we'll have one or both of them back next week. We'd love to get the whole band back together. I don't think the three of us have actually been on a show together in a few months now. It's pretty ridiculous in terms of scheduling. Yeah, probably not.
Oh, that's good.
That's really good.
Yeah. Fast forward. And another thing. Nobody tells me.
That's what we're hoping for. They'll loosen you up a little bit. Get the real good stuff.
Yeah.
Our guest last week was actually telling us about another show, and I can't think of the name of it off the top of my head, another podcast, where he gets everybody high on the show.
Come on.
And then it gets them going. So that's a pretty good tactic,
We drove to Florida a couple of weeks ago, and my brother-in-law had told me about this podcast. My dad wrote a porno. You ever hear that?
No.
Oh my God, his father, gives his son this erotic novel that he wrote, and it is hilarious. And they read it out loud. Him and two friends of his, and then they, analyze everything, and it's But now I guess they're touring, reading this. They're in New York doing.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, it's fascinating.
It's amazing what people are doing with podcasts now.
Yeah.
A lot of really different, cool stuff.
Yeah. I never would have thought to do anything like that.
Well, if you would like us to read an erotic novel, please comment.
I know a guy.
Yeah, please. Absolutely. We would love to hear from you. Any suggestions that you might have. In fact, funny enough, our 50th episode is coming up next week. Not exactly sure how we're going to celebrate that yet, but that's pretty cool. Yeah,
50 episodes.
50 episodes of this version, and we did another version at a Scranton studio. So we did, I think, maybe 62 episodes there.
Oh, wow.
So we've been doing the podcast thing for a while, but But we thank Cole Creative for having us here.
Yeah, it's a lovely studio.
Being a big pain in the ass to Gerard there, who's been ever so gracious with his time and space.
I think he's looking for a drink.
Yeah, I think he wants one of these. I am the only host, I'm going to run and leave the set.
It's all right. I'll hold it down.
I can help you.
And come back.
That is really good.
It is quite good. All right, so Mickey, you're not from here originally.
Nope. Born and raised in New Hampshire.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about life in New Hampshire and how you got started in music from there.
Believe it or not, well, my father was a singer. Well, he's still a singer, but just around the house now. He used to perform.
Yeah.
And the New England area, and so I had and it was Irish folk music, so I had heard it all growing up. But I was more involved in athletics growing up. I never played. I didn't know I could sing till I was like 26 years old. I was in a car accident, and I had herniated a disc in my back. So I was laid up for a little while. My father gave me a guitar, and I had a book. I learned to play 3 chords, and I knew all the words from hearing them over and over again growing up.
Yeah.
So that's how I started. And then I have my younger brother. There's 6 of us in the family. I have 3 older sisters. There's me and my brother Pat, and then my youngest brother Liam, who will be at the String Fling playing with me. So he's been playing since he was 12. He took a liking to it right away. So he'd been playing in pubs and stuff since he was 12 years old. So then once I started getting the hang of playing and singing, we formed a duo. We were the Spain brothers. Nothing creative there. And then so we used to play, New England, New York, down to Florida and stuff. Nothing too big. And then we joined up with the Makem brothers. So we were the Makem and Spain brothers. Again, lacking in creativity, but
but guaranteed that it's a name not taken.
That's right. Yeah.
It's very hard to figure out a band name nowadays.
Yeah. So that's how that started. And that was back in. My brother and I started, I think, in 93 or so, 1993, and then we ended up playing. I don't know if Tommy Makem was, that was their father. So he was, very big, recorded for Columbia Records in the 60s with the Clancy Brothers, and they brought, Irish music as we know it, the folk music to the States back in the late 50s and early 60s. And so those were the albums I grew up listening to, that and the Dubliners and the Irish Rovers and stuff like that. So when my brother and I got together, that's the kind of stuff we did. So we were playing at a pub in Dover, New Hampshire, which is where the Makems grew up once they came from Ireland. They all grew up in Dover. So the 3 Makem brothers they would come in to hear us, and we kind of developed a friendship because we both had like the same songs, same stuff, music, and they'd come up and join us, for a night, and it was great fun. Then the 5 of us, in I think 2002, officially formed a band, the Makem Spain brothers. But then 2 of them over the years, I don't even remember what years they were. One of the brothers, Shane, left the group, and then Connor left the group maybe about 4 or 5 years ago. And so it's been the 3 of us, but now we're kind of taking a hiatus, Rory Makem he lives in Chicago, I live in Pennsylvania, and my brother's in New Hampshire. So it's, it's tough organizing gigs and travel and practice. So we're kind of each doing our own thing for a little while. Yeah. And see what happens from there. But yeah, so I'm doing some solo stuff, and I'll be doing some stuff with my brother, and doing the Irish folk and regular folk, and then some of the stuff I write a lot of songs too. So doing some originals.
So what brought you to Pennsylvania then?
My beautiful wife. I was living in. It was 2015. In December, we were doing a Christmas tour, and so we were. I forget where we were coming from. Ohio. Yeah, we were doing a gig in Ohio. And we were on our way to do a house concert in York, Pennsylvania. And my brother had been in touch with Erin about doing a house concert at her house. So we did.
Sure.
Yeah. So.
It sounded like a great idea.
So when I walked in, no, that was it.
Back a few weeks later.
I did a couple of solo shows, and then I moved in April of 2016. Yeah, so it'll be 2 years that I'll be here. Yeah,
You guys been together a long time?
No?
2 years.
Just those two?
Well, we had known each other.
Yeah.
Because we played at the Celtic Classic in Bethlehem, the Irish Fest there. So I met her. What was
I
it?
go to that just about every year, so I think we met originally
2010.
in 2010 or
Yeah.
around then.
Okay.
So we had known each other for a little while.
Okay.
Just a brief introduction.
Yeah. So yeah, it was really strange. It wasn't anything I was prepared for or
Yeah, me either.
looking for, but it happened, and here we sit.
Yeah. And it's been a fun, crazy 2 years. So.
It has indeed. And another thing.
You were saying about some of the 50s and 60s music that influenced you.
Yeah.
Is that kind of a lost art today? Do you not hear much of that anymore?
As far as the folk stuff, I mean, I still listen to what I have. But, I don't know. I mean, there are audiences that still appreciate it. By far, we did a project. I don't even know. It was a few years ago. We called it Sessions, Volume 1 and Volume 2. So it was 2 CDs. But we got together with a lot of our folk heroes from the 60s. So we called, emailed, whatever. So we recorded songs with Tom Paxton. We got Tom Paxton, Noel Paul Stuckey from Peter, Paul and Mary, Roger McGuinn from the Byrds, Jonathan Edwards we recorded with, Gordon Bach. He's a lot of guys were from Maine. Actually, Noel Paul Stuckey lives in Maine. So we recorded that some we were on site for the studio we used was in Maine. Thundering Sky, my good friend Chris Magruder over there in Berwick, Maine. So we recorded there, but others, like we traveled out Paxton was playing a gig in New York, so we went out and met him. We rented a theater. We had a Kickstarter campaign to run this, to fund it rather. And so we met all these guys, we recorded 2 songs with each guy, and we put one on one CD and the second one on the second CD. So it was probably a total of maybe 25 songs, I think, maybe. So,
at least.
Yeah.
It's a great set.
Yeah, it was fantastic. I mean, because these were all guys. Dave, I don't know if you know Dave Mallett. Ever heard of him? He's lives in Maine, but he's written some great songs. One is a very popular song. A lot of people don't even know he wrote it, but it was recorded by John Denver and the Muppets. It's called the Garden Song, but it's inch by inch, roll by roll. It's a great song. But a lot of people have recorded that. So so these were heroes of ours that we listened to growing up, and to be in the same room with them was, and they were just so down to earth, and the whole thing was just a marvelous experience. And and then in New Hampshire, these past 2 years, we kind of tried to harness that, and we put on the folk show. It's at a theater in New Hampshire, in Manchester, the town I grew up in. So yeah, the Palace Theater. And so Paxton has come in to play it both years, and then Dave Mallett and Chuck and Steve Romanoff there. They were in a band from out of Portland, Maine called Schooner Fair. They were fantastic. So yeah, so it's been so we've been doing that, and we hope to keep it going. But the turnout has been great. Paxton, it was his 80th birthday this year, so we had right around the time we had the show. So he's still out there touring. He's amazing.
And a lot of them can't do it at that age, too. A lot of what
really
you consider the greats.
Yeah. He's got it.
Yeah,
he's got it down. I mean,
And
comes into town.
They say usually, don't meet your heroes.
Right.
But
Exactly.
but
Mickey Mantle, I think, was one who said that.
Yeah.
Don't meet your heroes. Yeah. But yeah, exactly. And that is a nerve-wracking thing, because there are people you meet. and whether you catch them at a bad day or not. I mean,
Right,
that
right.
is your lasting impression of them. So anybody I try to meet, I always try to be cordial. You know, I mean, you can't let anything going on around you affect you. You know, try not to anyway.
My problem is I'll meet somebody that I've really wanted to meet or run into at some point, whether it's at a, you know, convention or whatever. And, you know, I have exactly what I know what I'm going to say. And then I get up there and I'm like, hey, so you're that guy who does that thing.
It's like that. You ever see that Chris Farley on Saturday Night Live when he had
Yeah.
interviewed Paul McCartney?
It's pretty much exactly like that every single time.
Yeah, it's
That's how I felt when I met Roddy Doyle.
yeah.
I've been emailing him. I was asking for an autograph on a particular book for my son's 18th birthday because he was joining the Navy. He was 18. He was leaving home. And there was one book he read as a kid, and I had it. Roddy Doyle was the writer. He wrote The Commitments, so that's what he's well known for, the Snapper. But he wrote this great children's book, The Giggler Treatment. So 4 sons, they grew up loving this. It's all about an Irish wolfhound who poops and parents step in it when you're a jerk to your kids. So, I mean, it's a fantastic book. It is. It's just a fantastic, fun book. So
it's true to life,
I've been back and forth emailing him, and he answered and was like, yeah, you know, come out to Philadelphia and you can, you know, I'll sign it in person. I was so excited, made the plans, went out to Philly, went to the Free Library, went to meet him. When I met him, I couldn't even say a word to him. I just handed him the book. He signed it, and I walked away. I didn't even tell him that I was nothing. I was like, yeah, gonna leave.
I like words.
It was really funny. Total loss.
Yeah, because you can rehearse it in your head and over, and it comes out fine. But then when you get up,
not a word would come out.
Yeah.
And what haven't they heard a million times too?
Right,
You know,
exactly.
You try to walk up to somebody and ask them something or say something that they haven't heard before. And it's like,
yeah.
What haven't they? You know, you're a celebrity. You probably met a million fans. What do I have to say that's going to be any different? You know?
Yeah, exactly. What's going to set me apart?
So, what is it like working with your brother? Is that is there?
Yeah. Liam is my brother is one of the most talented musicians that I know. He can play anything, and he's got a great ear, and he's got a soft touch, knows where to play, how to play around certain things. He's fantastic, but boy, is he moody. No, but I mean, we room together on the road all the time. We're both the same creatures of habit, drink a lot of beer, eat pizza, wake up, eat what's left over, put Law and Order on, watch it until it's time to go play the show. Yeah. So I mean, it's fun. And there's 8 years difference between the two of us. So when I graduated high school and I went away to college, I mean, he was only 10 years old, so it wasn't like we were hanging around back then. I was closer with my brother Pat, who was about 18 months younger than me. We were in high school together, and so that part was really strange because it was like we were at 2 different stages of our life.
Right.
When I left, but then when I came back, when I moved back, I was living in Massachusetts for a number of years, and then I moved back to New Hampshire, and we started playing together, and then I got to know him as something other than a little kid that would follow me around, so it was nice. So now he's my best friend, so it was really a whole change in dynamic for me that I wasn't prepared for or looking for, but that's how it happened. So yeah, no, I enjoy playing with him. He's great, but he is moody. I'm gonna tell you, man. You don't have to guess what kind of you don't have to guess what kind of mood he's in. It's written all over his face. If you're watching, I love you.
So, from a songwriting perspective, you're sitting down to write a song. What inspires you, or do you kind of jot down notes and figure it out later? How does it work for you?
See, I used to try to write something every day, whether it went anywhere or not. And I mean, I've written a lot of songs that I just threw away because they were garbage, you know. But I'll have periods where I write a lot, where there's a lot going on, and I find if I'm busy in my personal life, then I'm writing more because my mind is working. If I'm just sitting around, you know, not doing anything for any length of time, then I'm not, you know, I'm not creative at all. So, that being said,
Keep that in mind.
I'm not talking
Find
house.
things to do.
I'm not talking housework
What
either.
could we build next?
Dishes or laundry. No.
Repainting the entire house in a week. We do that.
Oh yeah, the inside. I thought you were talking about the outside. So I'll write, but I write a lot of kids songs too. I have a children's. Well, it used to be I had a kids band, not kids in the band, but a band that played kids music.
Right.
And it was myself and my brother Liam, and then two other friends of ours. But again, they had real jobs. They had to go, you know, during the week, so they couldn't do, you know, we played at schools.
Yeah.
And they were, you know, they're only open till 3 or something. So these guys are working. So it's basically been just my brother and myself doing the kids songs that I write. But I find it a lot easier to write kids songs because they can be about absolutely nothing.
Right.
When I try to write songs for the band, I try to write them. I mean, I'm not being from Ireland. I don't try to write an Irish song. I try to write a song that, like a folk song that sounds like it could be from anywhere in the world or happened at any time. You know. But the kids songs I enjoy writing. I could write a million of those. You know, it's.
And then the kids program.
Oh,
the
yeah.
Kids write songs.
I have a program that I used to have in New Hampshire. Yeah, I would go into elementary schools 3 weeks. I'd meet with whatever, you know, grades I was working with, 3rd and 4th, you know, and we'd write songs. I'd write a song with the kids, then we'd record it, put it on a CD. Each kid would get a copy of the CD. We'd have a concert at the end of it where the parents would come and the families and kids would come up on stage to sing their song with us. So I did that in New Hampshire. I did it in a number of schools, and I tried to get it going here, but I haven't had much luck doing that yet. But
Haven't had a lot of feedback from the local schools and programs. We're not going to give up, and you know what's going on in Scranton.
And
right now,
you
so.
should, yeah. I mean, they're the one of the first things they were you know, when the Scranton School District was we're going to cut stuff. Music was like at the top of that list.
It always is. The arts are always
sad,
the first to go. You know.
So here you are trying to do something good, and it's.
And we were doing that even ahead of that. Like we tried to bring that in 2 years ago when Mickey first arrived to town. He had done a couple of shows at a local grade school where we had a supportive principal. My sons had all gone through that school. My nephews were there. So I kind of had an in with first grade.
Right.
And I used that in, and we did just the show.
Yeah.
And it was really well received. It was great. It was great fun, but it wasn't the program. It wasn't the, teaching the kids. It wasn't that immersive thing.
Right.
It was really neat. I've seen clips and videos and stuff of the work they've done. It's pretty cool.
I mean, I enjoy it. Kids are great. They'll let you know right away if they like you or if they hate you. So it is.
Is that the best kind of audience?
It is, yeah. They but they're so engaging and they just want to participate any way they can, and I find that enjoyable. I play a little bit of a kid song that I wrote. Is that all right?
Sure, yeah.
I wrote this. I didn't write it. I was in the shower, and one day, and I don't know why I was thinking of this, but I had the whole song before I got out of the shower. It took me 3 days, but I'll just kidding. It's a tongue twister, and the kids love to try to sing along. As my brother Liam says, man, that's your stairway to heaven. Every kid wants to sing.
Every kid loves it.
Yeah. That's called I Wish I Was a Fish. I'll just do it. I'll just key it in. Oh, I wish I was a fish I wish I was. Why do I wish I was a fish? I wish I was because if I was a fish, I'd be swimming underneath the sea. That's why I wish I was a fish I wish I was. Now, if I was a fish, I'd want to live under the sea. Sure, tanks and bowls are nice, but they are not the place for me. The ocean, it is very deep and it's extremely wide, so I can swim all over instead of just from side to side. Oh, I wish I was a fish I wish I was. Why do I wish I was a fish I wish I was? Because if I was a fish, I'd be swimming underneath the sea. That's why I wish I was a fish I wish I was. Oh, and I'd have many friends way down beneath the ocean blue. Dolphins, whales, and sharks, maybe an octopus or two. And I could play all day around the coral and the reef, and I wouldn't have to take a bath before I went to sleep. Oh, I wish I was a fish I wish I was. Why do I wish I was a fish I wish I was? Because if I was a fish, I'd be swimming underneath the sea. That's why I wish I was a fish I wish I was. Oh, and I'd be very careful when I'm swimming down below. I'd watch out for the fishing boats and let the others know that it may be appetizing for some of them to see, but a floating worm is not the thing to eat beneath the sea. Oh, I wish I was a fish I wish I was. Why do I wish I was a fish I wish I was? Because if I was a fish, I'd be swimming underneath the sea. That's why I wish I was a fish I wish I was. That's why I wish I was a fish I wish I was.
That's awesome. If that doesn't put a smile on your face, I don't know what will.
I teach them the chorus before we go launch into it, and we do it slow, and then I do it at the speed that I do it at, and they're just like, their tongues are tied in knots, and
hilarity just ensues. The kids are laughing.
But they want so badly. They want so badly to sing it, and it's just
It's great to see. It's great to watch.
When I made a children's a CD of all my well, not all of them, but at that time there was like 15 kids songs on it, and that song is on it. And so my brother and our friend Brian Richards, who was played the banjo, when they were doing the backup vocals for that, they had the hardest time trying to sing it. They actually got drunk trying to record the children's CD, trying to get the chorus. So yeah. But that's fun. But yeah, so I mean, and right now I'm starting to write. Since I moved to Pennsylvania, well, I've always known about the Molly Maguires and the mines, but all these other mine disasters. So I started writing some songs. Going to try to put out a little CD of some of the some of the cold
stories. We're not quite sure where it's going.
Right.
So I'm looking into the.
I grew up in Pittston.
So
pretty much across from where the Twin Shaft disaster was.
Oh yeah.
And so that history was always kind of there, growing up, and we were just discussing it. And I said, "Oh, we should should make a song. We should write something about it."
Right.
So that's kind of turned into a new project.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of really interesting stories that have come out of that. I did a few as a reporter, and learning about these people's lives and what they went through and stuff like that. There's a lot of good the Lackawanna Historical Society and places like that have great records of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So if you're ever looking for a story, people like them are great to go to because they can tell you a million different stories that you never would have known otherwise, and things like that.
Yeah. Well, that's the way to go. I mean, it's fascinating, and there's so much of the history in this area. So.
Yeah, between that and the railroad, it was incredibly present through this whole region.
Right. The working man story, so to speak.
That's
Which is where a lot of folk music comes from.
That's right. From a non-working man. The irony.
So could you tell us a little bit about, you've toured all over, with Makem Spain and yourself and everything like that. Are there any particular memorable gigs that stick out to you or certain stories that...
I'll tell you what, one of my favorite places that I had been to over the years was Butte, Montana. And Butte had a very rich history. I mean, the town of Butte, at one point, had more Irish-speaking people than the country of Ireland did. They all came over to work the copper mines in Butte. And just the whole town, it's not a very big town, but the whole town at one point was connected underground through tunnels. And usually when we go to gigs, you know, often we're there, whether we fly in, drive in, or whatever, we're there, we got a couple days, play the gigs, and you're out. But Montana, we actually made time to go in early and stay late. And it's the people that I fell in love with. Like you said, you know, you'll hear the stories that aren't in any of the books, you know.
Right.
So we were, I forget what year it was, but we were there, and the week before we got there, they had just discovered an underground speakeasy that no one had been in since, I don't know, the 30s.
That's unbelievable.
And all it was just behind a door in the basement of some building. But it still had chalkboards with all the games that were being played, and, you know, betting and all that. It was fascinating. They ended up making it like a museum type of thing, and they do tours through it now. But we were the first people to drink beer in there since the 1930s. Yeah,
That's crazy.
That's awesome.
it was the same beer they were drinking too, so it was a little dusty.
The keg.
You guys had Bud Light back then? No, so Montana was one of my favorite places to play. We used to do a lot of cruises too. We probably did 9 or 10 cruises. The Caribbean, the Mexican Riviera, but we did Hawaii one year. But we flew to Hawaii, then we cruised. So we were overnight at a few islands, and Hawaii was fantastic. It's hard not to have a good time in Hawaii. But so that was enjoyable. We did an Alaska cruise as well, but we didn't. It wasn't like we were in any great towns. It seemed like the town was built for a cruise ship to dock at. You get off
Right.
and you can buy your stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
we didn't have much time to go exploring anywhere. So that, I mean, that's. I mean, believe me. I mean, it was great. Don't get me wrong, but
Sure.
I would have liked to.
Go wander.
Yeah, wander around. You know, sometimes you're in that port for maybe like 4 hours or something. So you go in, go shopping, you have lunch, a few drinks, and then you're back on the boat going someplace else.
Right.
We always try to get off the highway, off the beaten track, and I'm probably worse than anyone you've ever
Which one's that?
Uh,
met.
This is the Rubaeus. I'm assuming that's what it's called, or I'm pronouncing it correctly. But
Wow.
tastes more like a wine.
It does, yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah, it's very fruity.
Oh yeah, it does.
It just sits more like a wine too.
Yeah.
I'll give this to Gerard here.
Cough, cough.
It actually tastes like coffee.
It's nice though. Almost like a raspberry.
Yeah.
Yeah, very. It's got a little tartness to
Yeah,
it.
it's enjoyable.
Not bad at all.
Like a couple ice cubes, hot summer day.
You probably met some interesting people too, I would imagine.
Yeah. It's funny. As soon as you said that, I don't know who this guy was, but it was a part of that Christmas tour. We were up in, I think, Saginaw. And you know that song, Mamacita, Donde está Santa Claus?
Yeah.
So I was singing that, and after the show, this Mexican fella comes up to me and goes, I got a perfect intro for that song for you. I said, really? What is it? He goes, uno, dos, tres, cuatro. Awesome. And I used it.
Very, very creative.
I used it. I changed it around a little bit. So. Yeah, but no, I mean, you meet a lot of people. And a lot of times you see the same faces. Like the spring and summer are very big festival seasons across the country. And so we would see the same people that would come, they'd go from one festival to the next. You know, they would just go
Right.
on. It's fascinating because I don't know if I would do that if I wasn't playing.
Yeah, right.
I don't think I could afford it, first of all. But yeah, so it's nice, and then you develop friendships, and you look forward to seeing these people, and they're not there. Oh, everything all right? You know, we didn't see you.
Yeah, you notice right away.
Yeah. So so it's That part is very nice of it. I hated flying. Just the whole rigmarole around it. You gotta get there. And so when we left, all of us were in New Hampshire at one point. So the furthest we would drive would have been to Chicago. That was about 17 hours or so from where we lived. That was about the. We had a 15-passenger van, and it was just it's a nightmare. But that's about as far as we'd go. Or if we had the connection, like if we had dates close together where we'd have to fly or rent a car. I don't miss any of that. But because by the time you get there, you have to get to the airport and wait. I mean, you could have driven to some of these places,
right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, I don't miss that. But I do. I liked meeting people and from all walks of life and all parts of the world.
We have a couple of questions from our readers, and we have Kieran Laurie says, "Who are your musical influences?" We talked a little bit about that, and how much of your writing is informed by traditional Irish music?
It's a good question. I don't know. I think my writing is more just folk music in general, not so because I listen to I've always been a fan of music. Like I said, I love the Clancy Brothers, Tommy Makem, the Dubliners, the Irish Rovers. But I also listen to Sinatra, Johnny Mathis. I love big band music. Like Elvis Costello is one of my favorite favorite performers. Springsteen, So I don't, I kind of, but I think just folk music in general is what my style is. I can't be like sometimes when you hear like a rock and roll song, you don't know what the hell they're talking about. I don't know. Like a lot of Bob Dylan songs, I don't know what he's talking about.
Right.
I like them, but I don't know what he's talking about. So I can't write like that. I write, I try to make it clear what I'm writing about and what, so people aren't left going, what the hell was that about? So that's basically how I write. But having grown up listening to a lot of Irish music, I guess you could say it's been influenced it. But folk music in general, I think, is where I get a lot of how I write.
Ted Hebert, who's a comedian that you've met a few times at the open mic. He said, "Is there a chin under that beard, or is it just another beard?"
Yes. It's actually 3 birds and a ham sandwich. There's a chin, yes. Not a very big one. Actually, there's more than one chin, I should say. He's not going to use that in his bid, is he?
He might. He might. So, the Scranton St. Patrick's Parade, it touts itself as the second largest in the country. I guess that's per capita, so it's kind of a technicality, but
a little asterisk there on the
yeah,
it changes too. There's a lot of stuff that goes into that now, and Scranton does have a good claim to fame.
Yeah,
they're defend that crazy madness that is Parade Day.
And then it's not only big in itself, but then it's spun off the Wilkes-Barre Parade, the Pittston Parade. So there's all these, everybody's kind of getting in on that action around here. So being not from here, what is your take on that coming into this and discovering this madness?
This, I think, will be my 3rd parade.
This is your 3rd. Your very first, you were a little shell-shocked, I think. It would be the right word.
It was, because
I walked him down through Mulberry Street, past some of the chaos of the preparations on the side, right down to the start of the parade, and, met my contacts that are part of the parade, and try to introduce him, and it was,
I couldn't believe the size of it, because I'd never gone to, like, Boston has a big parade, New York has, big parade, but I'd never gone to any of those. But we had a parade in the town where I grew up in, and it was usually held after St. Patrick's Day, and a lot of times canceled, because of the weather, or so. It was strange. I was amazed at
the amount of
how,
people. and
everybody
people
that came to
parade
these parades and what was in the parade as well,
Yeah, I think I marched you through the firemen and then the police and then the Clydesdales.
Yeah, we did.
and
Yeah.
I went through, kind of early, and then we had a gig that day, so I wanted to make sure he got to see some things, because
Sure.
I think I've only missed one parade, maybe two, since I've lived in Scranton.
Last year was
20-some years.
bitter cold.
Yeah, and we
In
still...
New Hampshire, they would
Yeah.
call that
No,
off.
Scranton won't quit with that.
Yeah.
Pittston's not either, so Pittston's
Oh,
doing their
yeah.
parade. We're going to be part of that.
That's
So
right.
we're
You
gonna-
have a gig coming up
Yeah.
at the
Yeah.
Tomato Bar.
Tomato Bar, yeah.
That's a good spot to get into too. When it comes to parade day in Pittston, I think that's kind of a lot of the center of.
We went down there last year,
we
actually.
were
Yeah.
there just
Yeah.
as participants.
patrons, yeah.
Yeah.
Patrons would be the right word. And that was fun.
Yeah, they got going early that day. Nothing wrong with that.
No,
That's interesting.
not at all. And do you having studied a little bit of Irish history and being into that type of culture and everything, do you feel like the Irish are unfairly stereotyped as a bunch of drunks drinking all the time, or
It.
do you think there's maybe too much focus on that kind of stuff
I think. Well, yeah.
when it comes to Irish pride, so to speak?
Yeah, I believe there are people. I think it's more the people who aren't Irish or who want to be Irish
Right.
that are, really
They're Irish that one day a year.
taking that to the next level.
Yeah, I think you need to make a big differentiation on parade day versus being Irish or
All
St.
year
Patrick's
round,
Day
yeah.
itself, and
Yeah.
Right.
and what do you know, and what do you know about your history? I mean, I've
Right,
always
yeah.
kind of run into that with different projects that I've been doing over the last couple of years, and the lack of support for certain things that you would think would be, well supported versus the,
Sure.
all day of drinking. And I know the parade committees in the region have kind of asked that the drinking slows down and that people have more respect and it's more family friendly. And I think they've done a great job in Scranton cleaning it up. Because there were a few rough years. I think,
Oh,
that
sure.
They had.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
The last few I've been to, were
Especially the
much
downtown area, I don't think is what it was.
Yeah, not at all.
I've
There's
definitely
a lot
seen
of-
over the years where people spilling out into the streets and puking on your shoe and stuff like that. It's
Right,
like,
yeah.
wow, this is
not okay.
crazy.
Yeah.
The first one because I tried to avoid it. I wasn't like into that kind of thing. But when I was a reporter in Scranton for a couple of years, I was like, well, I should at least go to one. I should at least actually like go
See it.
down. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. See it a little bit. And I get out of my car, I park like way down, and walk up a
10
couple of
blocks.
blocks. Yeah, exactly. So I'm far away from,
Take an
and
Uber
as I'm
from your car.
walking into the actual parade area, into where all the bars are and stuff like that. The first thing that happens to me, my first interaction, somebody walks right up to me and goes, "You want to fight? What the hell's with that camera? What, are you going to take my picture? I'll punch you in the nose if you try to take my picture." And it was like, whoa, okay, this is my introduction to parade day. Like I thought, what, maybe some of this is a little overblown. And then like, that's the first thing I see. And I was like, okay,
Is that
I'm
the
going
mayor?
to, it may have well have been.
A few years ago, I helped bring a band to Kildare's for Parade Day, and I did warn the band. I said, I'm warning you, you've never seen anything like the Scranton St. Patrick's Day Parade. And they're like, we're from Harrisburg, we've been in New York City. Erin, really, you're not telling. I'm like, I'm just telling you that
Right.
this is something extraordinary. It in good or bad, or a little bit of both, but it's going to be a day that you've never experienced before. Okay. And then I started, my phone blew up, I was getting text message after text message after text message. Where are you? This place is crazy. And oh my God, there's like 3,000 people in the parking lot here. And, somebody peed on a guitar. There was actually someone who did that in a parking lot. And, these are guys who are well-seasoned,
Where should they have done it?
on
Yeah.
but well-seasoned.
Must have not been a very good guitarist.
On the rock kind of scene and that,
Sure.
that Irish rock type music, and they were just like, oh my God, you were. Like, I told you don't leave anything on the ground.
and that's the thing.
I was joking.
For musicians, they're playing it. And a lot of them,
Yeah.
a lot of those, the people who get drunk, they don't care.
They're not the people coming to see the music.
You're right.
Sure.
And understanding their history.
Exactly. And that's what it is. And and it's very disheartening
I spoke,
when you're trying to play.
I spoke to that day in the parking lot because they had me come up and I mentioned, have fun, be safe, but at least for 5 seconds, remember what today is actually kind of about.
Right.
Be a little bit more. I don't know. I don't know what I was after.
Yeah.
They cheered. It was good. Get off the stage.
Were they cheering when you got off? Or?
Probably.
Oh, okay.
Probably. Get her out of
It's
here.
a whole timing thing there.
But yeah, it's definitely its own thing, and
Yeah. It's a whole different animal, that whole St. Patrick's Day.
Well,
Yeah.
the parade committee had Mickey come last year. They have a parade headquarters where all of there's a ton of people that put on the work. Actually, there's probably a fairly small group of people who arrange everything and do all the work all year round, but then there's a lot of volunteers who are part of this immense committee, and they make all of that happen. And so you can always find somebody from the parade committee. If you get in trouble, there's always somebody there. There's a lot of police presence. There's a lot of people out there to help. So there's all this stuff going on, which is a wonderful thing. But they had reached out to us last year and said, all these guys that are working and they're volunteering and they're away from home and they're doing all this stuff, why don't you guys come down and play for us? And so we did this. It's kind of a private event. We just do it for the committee and their families, the volunteers, in and out. People are in and out.
Yeah.
It's crazy. They try to come in and get warm. But it was really well received. And that's what they said. They said, we want something that's
More along
that's
those
Irish. We
lines.
want something that has to do with the culture and what St. Patrick's Day is about, which was really exciting to have the parade committee reach out.
And like you said, I think they're doing a good job of keeping that out of downtown a little bit more, or
Yeah,
at least keeping it
definitely.
quarantined in certain areas. And once you get past the University of Scranton, then good luck.
Right, yeah.
In that type of area. But definitely in the downtown, I think you can still take your family and
Yeah,
not have
it's
to
still-
really run
it
into
still really
Right.
is.
run into that type of stuff. So you have the Tomato Bar gig. That's March 3rd. It's in the
Correct.
morning.
Right, yeah.
And then later that night, you're going to be at Kilcoyne's,
yes.
in Scranton.
Scranton. Then the next day,
Mm.
we're driving to New Hampshire because I'm going to see. You ever hear of Robbie Folks?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. He's playing in my brother's garage,
Really?
doing a house concert. Yeah. So we're going to see.
Oh well, that's definitely worth
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
then,
So that'll be fun. Yeah.
The Kilcoyne's thing is
Kilcoyne's
really nice.
great. Yeah. I mean, Tommy Coyne is.
He's really reached out to get Irish music back on the scene because it's nowhere anymore. Years ago we had the Banshee, Friday or Saturday night.
Sure.
There was always music.
Absolutely.
So you didn't really even have to check the schedule.
Yeah.
You knew something was going to be there,
Yeah.
And so Tom really appreciated our first show or two, and it wasn't really well attended. It was hard to get. It's really hard to get the word out. And,
It is.
Certain things get dropped on Facebook, and so a lot of it is word of mouth, which is.
Unless you pay, I noticed that.
Yeah.
already.
Oh yeah.
I've paid. It doesn't.
And that's the thing too is you
But-
pay and the value keeps going down and down and
I
down
didn't
too.
see,
You
I
used to
didn't
be
see
able
much
to.
result from it when I've
Yeah,
done some
we-
events
we-
with my brother who has a
Right.
sound company. We kind of
We
started.
did some of them with the band, but it says so many people want to reach more.
Yeah.
Boost your
It's
post.
tempting.
It is tempting,
Yeah,
but I
my-
mean, how come only so many people are
We're
reached?
reaching people in California, maybe. I
My
don't know.
my problem with that too is it's like you guys have proved yourselves untrustworthy, especially with the whole Russiagate thing
Yeah.
and all that other kind of stuff
Yeah.
that's going on. I mean, they're accepting money in rubles, and then they act all surprised when, oh my God, they're a Russian hacker. Oh my God, I had no idea.
comrade.
Whatever. So all the numbers that they're giving you are coming through Facebook. So how do you trust them? How do you
Right.
know that that's actually how many people you're reaching,
yeah.
or that?
Because you could buy views apparently too, which yeah, there's something where you can buy likes,
Which
views, and it shares it and spreads it. And I thought, who would do that? But
Oh my
I
God.
guess
It's,
it makes you look more popular.
It's high school
and then
all over again.
Right.
It elevates Yeah.
There was a good article a couple of years ago in the Philadelphia City paper about a guy who did that. He bought a lot of stuff on Facebook, like had, all these fake accounts essentially liking the page and whatever. So people are booking him, paying him these large amounts of money to do a show, and then nobody's there, and they're like, okay, what the hell is this? Like, I thought you've got 1 million followers.
Yeah.
There should be a couple thousand people here.
Yeah.
And then they catch on like, oh yeah, this isn't real. Like this is all just a show. And this guy's not even that good,
Yeah.
It's frightening. Yeah, that you can do that.
The Kilcoyne's set is starting to gain a nice following. Our last Saturday last month was really well attended. It was a lot of fun. We had a lot of new faces, and they were coming. So a lot of it is the old-fashioned way, word of mouth.
Grassroots.
You've
That's
got
awesome.
somebody who believes in what he's doing and the effort that we're trying to bring more of that music back.
Right.
And then those people are telling their friends and their friends and their friends. So I'm
So-
excited. It's building.
It's fun. I enjoy doing it.
The first Saturday of every month. For the
First
rest of the
Saturday
year.
of
Of
every
every
month.
month,
Okay.
yeah.
That's
We
what I was
start
going
at
to ask you.
8:30.
Great.
8:30. I think it might move to 9
Right.
during the warm hours, but
Yeah.
the warmer days. Rather.
It's tough though. That's another thing. When do you start live music?
Right, exactly.
Who's your audience?
Yeah, and that's kind of an ongoing debate, I
This
think.
audience
will
Not
go
just
at
here,
6,
but all over.
My
you know.
audience eats at 4 in the afternoon.
I would like to see music start at 7 in the city.
But I think what's great about you do too is that it's very accessible to anybody who likes any kind of music at all.
Right.
It's not something that you have to be into a specific kind of music to enjoy.
No. And I do a bunch of stuff. I'll mix up, do a lot of folk stuff, and sometimes depends on how much I
Play with
drink.
the crowd.
Play
You
with the
play
crowd.
with
Yeah. Oh yeah.
There's a lot
You-
of back and forth, and it's a fun show. What do they want to hear? Where's the night going?
Right.
Kind of stuff.
It is fun when you
session.
can interact with the audience. I mean, that's what I enjoy doing. That it makes it a more personal show, and so.
We had a great set at the Gary Owen in
Yeah.
Gettysburg.
Oh yeah, the Gary Owen. Yeah, actually played almost 2 hours longer than I was supposed to.
Yeah, we did.
That's great.
We just kept going because we were having a ball.
Drinks
So
for
were
free.
the patrons. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
We
the
got
perfect
over.
show right there.
We had Uber. Yeah.
And you guys have a really cool gig coming up. The first ever Steamtown String Fling,
Yeah.
which is at the Scranton Cultural Center. The Dishonest Fiddlers, Brother Roy, Ms. and Christopher Kearney. So if you follow local music at all, that's kind of an all-star lineup when it comes to that type of music. Really cool that they were able to put something like that together. That's March 23rd, I think.
It is, yeah.
It's towards the end of the month.
Towards the end, yeah.
So how did you end up getting that gig?
Maria.
Maria Cinnamaro reached out to us.
Yeah. It was a while ago. Actually.
Yeah. We had been
I
Maria
forgot to tell my brother about it.
since Mickey
Yeah, you
had
didn't book that
arrived.
date.
And that first house concert, we had Maria. Maria came to the house, and she's very active with the. She works with the Scranton Cultural Center.
Yeah.
And she's very active in the music
She is,
scene
yeah.
and getting shows going, and she's just an endless source of energy. She's always. She's an amazing woman, but she had heard them play and said, I've got to get him at the Cultural Center. And so that conversation started in 2015, and
Here we
so
are.
we've been working.
2 years later.
we kept
Finally
having that
coming
conversation.
together.
Yeah, and we
It's coming to
finally
fruition.
found like this
Yeah.
was a great idea.
Yeah.
She's got a lot of great ideas, but
Yeah.
this is cool. This lineup is cool. So she's gone out and she's listened to the performers. So she's kind of really has a sense of how the evening, might go.
Yeah.
And
Right.
there's a lot of time and effort that went into it. I'm excited.
It's hard to, because it's a big undertaking for her and for,
for the
the
Cultural
cost
Center,
and
it's
everything to
exciting
get
that
everything
they're gonna do
going,
it.
and yeah. So I'm looking forward to it. I hope it's,
I'd like to see a
great
lot more
success,
stuff
yeah.
like that. More events at the Cultural Center. It would be a tragedy to lose the Scranton Cultural Center.
Yeah.
And I know
Thank you, Rich.
they're
welcome.
having financial difficulties, like
Right.
most venues and everywhere. But it's important to get more arts out there
that's good
and
too.
get people out to support it. And we're excited to be part of it.
Yeah, yeah. definitely. I mean, that's a great venue too.
It's a beautiful building.
But I mean, what I like, and I'd never done your NEPA Scene. That was the first open mic I've ever done in my life. And
Well, it's an interesting one to be your first.
it was.
So much fun.
It was. I had a blast. I've done a few. Like we did one. The Honky Tonk has one. I
Right.
did one there. We did just one the other night. Where was that? Sunday night. Where the heck were we?
Oh, down at O'Leary's.
O'Leary's, yeah.
Okay.
That
And we actually ran into Leo Schott. I don't know if you know Leo, but he
plays the Ellen pipes. You know
he's talented in the traditional
Yeah,
Irish
yeah.
music as well as
Okay.
just about any other wind instrument
He's a
that you
great
put in his
saxophone player,
hands. He's brilliant on
Yeah.
saxophone and flute. And,
But-
I adore Leo, and he came down and joined Mickey on stage, and they did a set with the pipes and the guitar. It was beautiful. There were people going in the bar. What on earth is this? Like they took over
Yeah.
the open mic with an Irish set
Yeah.
for about a half hour. It was really cool.
Nice.
But getting back to the NEPA Scene, that was my first introduction to that. It was great. I mean, it was because it wasn't just music. There was
Right.
comedy, and then later on there was hula hoops.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's great, and it's for people to get up there. They may do it all the time at their house,
Sure.
But like meeting your hero, you practice everything, but when you get up and try to do it
Yeah.
in front of people, it's a whole different story. So
Right.
A lot of courageous people.
yeah, it is, and a lot of those I really liked a lot of those comedians because, and I think I don't know if I was who I was telling. It might have been Dan. Was it Dan? Well, one of those guys. Like I can go up and sing a song that somebody else wrote, and there's no problem with that. But
Sure.
they go up and tell a joke that somebody else wrote. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
There's a little bit of a problem there.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
That's a big no-no with them.
It's hard, and to get up there and to put yourself out there. Even if you're writing an original song, it's the same thing. But I was fascinated by it. I thought it was great. Met a lot of people. Actually, John, I remember John Kress,
Yep.
long hair kid, who he emailed me the other day. We're gonna get together and do some songs and stuff, and also
Nice.
the Comedy Viking there.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah, he's learning some songs, so
Some
could be a
friendships.
new 3-piece.
It really did open up, like you were saying, though, earlier
Yeah.
in the podcast, that you come out to this and you're going to meet people that could turn out to be friends, and that was definitely through that NEPA Scene's Got Talent. I mean, that was so much
Yeah.
fun.
That's what we're really trying to do is bring people together, especially that normally wouldn't get together,
Right.
and
Definitely
hang out
worked.
and
I mean,
appreciate each other.
He's
Yeah.
proof.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Yeah, it was great. I'm very
Looking
happy
forward
that I
to-
did it. Yeah.
To start up again.
Yeah. I mean, I always thought open mic would be a great idea, especially try out new stuff,
Sure.
But having it, when it's off in the distance seems like a great idea. And as it gets closer, I'll do it next week. Yeah, it's,
Right.
even, I mean,
But we looked forward to that. We didn't.
but I was still nervous, and I played in front of
Sure.
a lot
Yeah.
of people, but
Even when he was in the finals, we were still going, though. It was still fun. It was still
Yeah.
something we looked forward to it. We're like, oh, yeah.
I was nervous as all
we gotta
hell. It was
go.
fun.
Okay, yeah. We planned our week. Like, we got
Yeah.
that. We got something fun to do
Yeah.
this week, and so that was nice. It was,
I was happy. I think I chose 8. If I'd have chose 12, I might not have been able to. I was so nervous I was drinking. I couldn't remember the words.
Scott Kucharski, sorry if I butcher that. He said, other than parades, any upcoming dates? We did talk about that a little bit.
Oh, right, yeah.
We got the Tomato Bar, we got Kilcoyne's, that's March 3rd. The Red Stag Pub in Bethlehem.
Yeah.
That's March 17th.
That's St. Patrick's Day, yeah.
Yeah, perfect. And then
St. Patrick's Day.
and we have the Steamtown String Fling.
String Fling on the 23rd.
23rd. And then we go into April, the first Saturday in April,
Kilcoyne's.
first Saturday in May. So that's a monthly
Yeah.
first Saturday. You could always catch
Still,
them there.
still trying to work out gigs. It's tough getting gigs. I tell you. Yeah. Never
Well,
had this problem
it's-
before.
It's tough too because I feel like the scene is very much people say like there's nothing to do. It's oversaturated. There's so many acts and there's so much going on that it's hard because the bar isn't just competing with other bars and stuff, but other events and parades and things like that as well. So
I was in Nashville. We played a gig in Nashville, and we were staying with some friends of ours. And they said, "Oh, do you want to come see our local trad band when you come down?" I said, "Oh, sure, yeah. Why not?" So I'm thinking, local trad band. I didn't know if just a couple of kids playing Irish traditional music or what.
Yeah.
So we get to their house and we're having dinner, and she goes, "Oh, I wonder if Amy Grant's going to be there." I said, "Why the hell would Amy Grant be there?" "Oh, because her husband is in the trad band." Vince Gill is in your local trad band. It was the Time Jumpers. I don't know if you ever heard of them.
Yeah.
And $20 to see Monday night in Nashville, and it's just because it's so much that you can do and so many great players.
Right.
But this was fun. It was one of the best shows I'd ever seen in my life. And if someone's out touring, somebody else jumps in. It blew me away. But that I was. I wasn't expecting that at all.
No, not at all.
Yeah, not alone for $20, but it was. I know Riders in the Sky. You ever hear of them? Like a cowboy music type band. But Ranger Doug was the lead singer. Fantastic yodeler. But we walk in and he's just standing at the bar drinking a beer. Holy shit! It's Ranger Doug. Go over and talk to him. Now my brother plays Words with Friends with him.
Yeah, social media has made that a whole weird thing. You
Yeah,
can, meet your celebrity, your friends, and people like I'm friends with a guy on Facebook that I grew up with his music, and he lives in Seattle, so and he's an editor of some paper now. He kind of does the music here and there, but mostly in Seattle. So I haven't seen him live in a long time because he's doing stuff out there. But it's just weird to be friends on Facebook with like a guy like that. Where it's like I grew up with this guy's music, and now I'm like watching his updates about random daily stuff.
Well, I grew up. One of my best friends in high school was Adam Sandler.
That's funny.
Yeah, we were I've known him since we were 13. It's crazy, but that we were doing a gig in Chicago. It was it was the Irish American Heritage Center, and Rory and Connor's their father and Shane, their father was being inducted into this Hall of Fame thing. So also being inducted into the Hall of Fame was this, the Sullivan brothers in World War II. Yeah, so they were being inducted to the Irish American Hall of Fame. But so the granddaughter of the only Sullivan brother, I think it was Al, he was the only one that had kids, and so she was there accepting. So we met her.
Yeah.
I wrote a song about it. Now it's in some
how many
documentary or something.
Died?
There were 5 of them. Yeah, they all died.
All died during the war.
But the host of the evening was Joel Murray, Bill Murray's brother.
Yeah.
He was in Shameless.
Yeah.
And it's like crap. That's Joel. I was we were in the bathroom. And he used the urinal. Too away from me. But, hey man, really loved him Shameless.
It's creepy.
And he goes, oh thanks, yeah, I'm sorry I had to jump in that. He ended up killing him, so I don't want to ruin it if anybody hasn't seen the first season yet. But that one of the first. It reminded me of one of the first, like my brother and I used to have like a kind of a residency gig in a hotel in town in Manchester, New Hampshire. And one of our first gigs, after our first set, the bartender gives us a beer. She goes, "Oh, these are from Rich. Rich, oh, great." So I go, "Where is he?" I'm thinking, "Oh, he just went in the bathroom." Well, I had to go to the bathroom too. So he's at the urinal next to me, and turned to him. I go, "Hey, are you Rich?" And just as soon as I said it, he goes, "Oh, man, that did not come out." Something. I'll have to ask the guy next to you. I don't think it's Rich. Turns out he was. I thanked him for the beers.
Well, if you got a few bucks,
Yeah.
I got a job for you.
Yeah. Well, and that became a thing with the band, you know, is things we always happen in the men's room. You always kind of.
I didn't know any of this before the wedding.
So, like, we used to take people to Ireland for you know, a sightseeing tour of music at night. So this. And some, you know, we'd have sessions at night, and sometimes we'd have the people who came with us. They want to get a song. So this one guy from California, his name's Dwight Van Vliet, great guy, sang a Willie Nelson song. Awesome. So my brother Rory and I were in the bathroom going to the bathroom, and Rory goes, "Hey, how about that? Dwight pulled a little Willie out." What? We all backed away.
So where can people find your music online? Anybody who's gotten this far obviously is interested. So.
Yeah, well, we have all our albums are on iTunes or CD Baby, or album CDs rather. CD Baby. I have some in my living room. My kids' album is on iTunes. There's CD Baby as well. There's various videos. There's a video from our Sessions album. It's us recording a song. I think it's "Stealin'." I think with Jonathan Edwards. That's on YouTube. So, but yeah, Makem Spain.
You guys have a website for that, right? I believe.
Yeah, it's Makem.com. There's nothing much on it though. We haven't, you know.
Kept it too active.
Yeah, we're
You're more
three
likely,
least ambitious guys going.
Facebook links and
Facebook,
YouTube.
yeah.
You're more likely to see more of the
Yeah,
music.
Mickey Spain Music. I think you're on
Yeah,
Facebook.
yeah, we just started that page, and
So maybe we'll have a website.
it's got kid stuff. I used to, I tell you what, I used to have a website, MickeySpain.com, and I don't really keep up with things, so it lapsed. But then there's another Mickey Spain I don't know if he's in Carolinas or Georgia. He's a realtor. So we connected on Facebook the other day.
Yeah.
And he goes, "You're the Irish folks." Yeah. He goes, "Man, I waited 5 years for MickeySpain.com to become available." He took it as his real estate site. Oh, man, I would have sold it to you a long time ago. Yeah, but that's... Yeah, so Mickey Spain Music's on Facebook, Mickey Spain too, you know, it's... I'm on there. But the music site we just started, I'll try to put up, like we talked about that mining project, once we get that going. But I post videos like the kid shows or any of the gigs I'm doing now. Just trying to get gigs, you know, it's rough out there.
Book this man.
Yes.
If you could, that'd be nice.
All right. Well, you want to play one more song before we're out?
What do you want to hear?
To Roddy McCorley.
Roddy McCorley. It's an Irish song. Actually, as the fellow as it was executed on this day, February 28th, in 1800, in the north of Ireland. He's from the County Antrim for his part in the 1798 rebellion. So let me do that. Okay. So he was just a kid. But so this is a story of Roddy. His real name was Roger, but Roddy McCorley. Oh, see the fleet-foot hosts of men who speed with faces one, from farmstead and from Fisher's Cut, along the banks of Bann. They've come with vengeance in their eyes. Too late are they, as young Roddy McCorley goes to die on the bridge of Toom today. Up the narrow street he stepped, smiling, proud and young. About the hemp rope on his neck, the golden ringlets clung. There was never a tear in his blue eyes, both glad and bright are they, as young Roddy McCorley goes to die on the bridge of Toom today. When he last stepped up that street, his shining pike in hand, behind him marched in grim array a stalwart earnest band. For Antrim town, he led them to the fray, as young Roddy McCorley goes to die on the bridge of Toom today. There is never a one of all your dead more bravely fell in fray than he who marches to his fate on the bridge of Toom today. True to the last, he treads the upward way, and young Roddy McCorley goes to die on the bridge of Toom today. And young Roddy McCorley goes to die on the bridge of Toom today.
Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. We'll see you next week, 7 to 8 p.m. right here on Facebook. Please tune in because we're fighting with Facebook to make it happen. Maybe we'll do something else in the future. We don't know what the future holds for the next 50 episodes. So we'll see if we continue on Facebook Live or if we go elsewhere. But you can always find every single version of the podcast, video and audio, on NEPAscene.com. We're all over the place. iTunes, SoundCloud for the audio versions, YouTube for the video version. Thank you so much, and have a good night, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rich. I appreciate it.